get smaller, this is a great middle range chainsaw. So it gives you everything you need for felling trees, cutting up firewood. It's a beast of a thing. We'll go through some of the specifications, we'll pull it apart, have a bit of a look at some of the things that I like and some of the things that I think could be improved upon. And I guess I'll leave it up to you guys to make a final judgment, but we'll finally see it cut some pucks up. So we'll do that over with some timber that we've already dropped down. So I'll give you a look at how it performs. So this specific chainsaw that I've got here, as I said, MS251, newer model chainsaw. I've put probably about 20 hours into this so far. So it's had a bit of a run in, which is good. So first of all, to take up the cover and have a look at the filter. So you want to give your filter a blowout, so using an air compressor or something that you can use to give it a clean out every time you use it. So in terms of maintaining a chainsaw, there's some daily maintenance work that you need to do on it. Might take this glove off just to be able to get in here. I'll put it back on when we look at the actual chain itself. So it comes off pretty easy, and great thing about these are you're not going to lose your screws, so they all have inbuilt, I'll get in closer, inbuilt I guess brackets that hold the screws on, so you're not going to lose them. So inside you can see filter, pretty simple way it turns to click off, and then when you want to put it back on again, you just click it back on again. So as I said, you want to make sure you give that a blowout. Spark plug, pretty easy to get into up here. Take him off. Spark plug's pretty easy to get into. Obviously the bit of equipment that it comes with has the spark plug tool on the end there, which makes it easy. So that all comes with each chainsaw. You don't have to worry about buying anything extra for it. So really everything that it comes with is everything that you need. So I'll put that back on. I like this. I've seen the Husqvarna versions of it where rather than having the inbuilt plate into the chainsaw, the plate actually sits within the cover. So that makes it a little bit trickier to get it on and off for the Husqvarnas, because the plate actually sits inside the chainsaw box itself. Makes it a lot easier with the Stihls to get the cover plate on and off each time, which is good. So just doing this up, another comparison to the Husqvarna chainsaw range, they have clips, so rather than screws. Now I think clips would be easier than the screws, no tool required to get it on and off. My only concern, and maybe it's not a real problem, it's just in my head, is that those clips might end up breaking over time. So the more wear that you put on it, having to take them on and off was a bit of a thought for me when we were looking at the Stihl. So as I said, put about 20 hours into this. So this one here comes with, it's got an 18-inch blade from factory. So this is the standard size blade, break off. So it runs pretty easy. As I said, you can see that I've put a couple of hours into it because I've turned the bar upside down. So every time you sharpen your chain, you flip the bar, so then you get an even use across both the top and bottom. Longevity. Otherwise, if you leave your bar facing upwards, might look great, might say Stihl and you can read it from the top, but you end up wearing it through the base here. You'll end up wearing it away, and the chain will start coming off a lot easier, or you get barbs on it, which means you'll have to replace the whole bar. And they're not cheap. I think we're looking at about $100, $150 for a bar here in Australia. So before I take the cover plate off, some of the things, so 45 cc's, 2.2 kilowatts of power, so good bit of power in it. The teeth that it's got on, which you can see there, where we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 prongs. So they're only small, they're not going to bite into a lot. You can replace that, you can take it out and put a replacement aftermarket pair of teeth on that, which a lot of people do. Some other things, the brake obviously works pretty well. It's nice and solid. Stihl brakes always are. Let's take it off and have a look inside. When you're doing these up, don't try and over tighten them. You're talking about plastic on plastic here, so over tightening them means that you might end up breaking the cover. Comes off pretty easy, as you can see, even after a few 20 hours worth of work, nice and clean. Make sure another one of those maintenance things with your chainsaw, after every use, at the end of each day, you always want to clean it out. So you take this off, give it all a spray out, give it all a clean. So bar on there, take him off, put him to the side for now. So mechanism for tightening your bar sits within the bracket itself. Now, nice and easy, it just pops out if you ever wanted to replace it, so just using the screwdriver there to undo it. In terms of the Stihl mechanism here, same across their entire range, just circlip, cover, and then the actual sprockets for the teeth that go on. Nothing too interesting or out of the box with this one. Oils really well, runs really well. So one thing to know when you are putting a chain back on your saw, you want to know which way it cuts. It cuts that way. So from the top, when I put it on, it's going to cut that way. So you want your teeth, the sharp end of your teeth, which we've got there, our sharp parts of our teeth, are all facing away from us at the top. So that's how you always put it on. And make sure your brake's off. So when you are putting your bar and your chain back on your chainsaw, brake is always off. If it's on, it makes it a lot harder for you to then move this around to be able to get it all back on again. So when putting a bar on, you've got to make sure that it sits within that there, which is a little guide. So that's the bit that actually pulls your bar away or drops it forward based on your adjustments, and then those two bits there sit within that spot there. But as you can see, nice and easy, it slides back on because I already had it at the right spot for it. Put your cover plate back on. MS251 only has one nut on it, where as soon as you get up to your next size, you're actually going to increase it, and it goes to 2. So in terms of adjusting your chain in your bar, so this here is your adjuster, so you put it in here. So before you tighten up your bolt is when you do your adjustments, and again with it out the brake on. So if I hold it like that, you should start to see the chain slowly coming away from the bar, and then when I tighten it back up again, you should start to see the chain working its way back towards it. Once you're pretty happy with it, so to know when the chain is on tight enough, not too tight, you want to be able to pull it away from the bar but it not fall off. You don't want the teeth to be able to come out. So see how I've got it sitting there and it's sitting upright away from the bar? It needs to be a tiny bit tighter, so I can't actually do that. There we are. And once you've got it right, hold your bar up, and then that's when you tighten it. Oop. Just turn the brake on. Again, just hand tight. You don't want to over tighten it, otherwise, as I said, you're going to do yourself some damage. So when you do put it on, you want to still be able to turn your bar, turn your chain both ways, forwards and back. You won't be able to do that with the brake on because the brake's on. Okay, so that's the specifications of the chainsaw. Let's cut a few bits of timber and see how it runs. Okay guys, Mr. Safety here. whenever using a chainsaw, make sure you have the right PPE on. So what we've got, clear glasses, we've got hard hat, earmuffs and a visor, and also wearing my chaps as well. So first of all, I'll run through how to start the chainsaw. So we'll get up here and have a quick look. So whenever starting your chainsaw, a Stihl chainsaw, you want to put it all the way up to the start, then flick it all the way back down to the bottom. That's the way you know that it's right on the choke. So pull it a couple of times until you hear it turn over. You'll only want to hear it turn over once, stop. Push it up to half choke. Should be no more than 2 or 3 pulls, and then it should start running. First time in the morning when you want to start it, let it sit for a little bit, let it idle, give it a couple of minutes until you want to actually start using it to let the engine warm up. So again, put it all the way up to the top, squeeze the trigger in, push it down to the bottom, couple of pulls until you hear it turn over once, squeeze the trigger, put it into the middle, half choke, pull it till it starts, let it idle until you turn it on. Always do it with the brake on, so brake always on when you're starting it, which you'll hear the strain of the engine trying to turn it over. So pull your throttle, turn it on to stop that stop the chainsaw trying to actually turn it over. That's how you start a chainsaw. Let's do it. So I've got it on the ground, foot on the cover. So you would have heard that turned over once. I push it up to half choke. Alright, so that's the MS251 cutting through some stringy bark that's been down for probably about a month and a half now. Cut through it really easily. As you can see, there was no trouble with that at all. It's given a nice clean finish, nice and straight. Didn't cut on any severe angles, which means that the chains sharpen well and even across it all. So yeah, really easy, as you can see, cut through that, no problem at all. So it's a good chainsaw, does a great job trying to cut some firewood up, knocking down some smaller trees. It's been really good. Hope you guys have appreciated that. Got any questions, any thoughts on the MS251? Let me know. Bye all.